you want me to do the scoring stuff here?
Hello and welcome into the Erie Tiger Network. Brandon Bird, Russell Fox here with you as we are ready for region action in volleyball from Palmer Ridge High School. And the first matchup of the day for the Tigers will be Widefield High School. Widefield coming in at 16-8. They already dropped one to Palmer Ridge, so maybe a chance here to pick one up early and easy. You always say that, but in regionals it never quite goes as planned. Is that right, Coach Fox?
Yeah, but interesting, the one plays 3 to start off, and Palmer Ridge had their way at the beginning, and now, 2 and 3, and if you're Erie as a 2 seed, you hope you can get your feet wet, get warmed up, work out the kinks before you play the 1 seed. But, of course, it's regionals. Anything can happen. Widefield found their way to 16 wins. Even through an admittedly easier schedule than Erie had this year.
And, of course, the seedings all come down to RPI, and that's why Erie sent out here to what amounts to the 5 seed in Palmer Ridge. We have a fixed camera for you here today, a pared-down crew, so you'll just have to be content with watching a fixed camera, but that's okay. You still get a chance to see it. Of course, hopefully you're listening as well on ErieTigerNetwork.com and our YouTube channel. And if you have a moment, subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, or like us on Facebook. You can also check us out online at ErieTigerNetwork.com. And so it will be Veronica Belts to serve first here for the Tigers. Tigers wearing their gray uniforms. They're going right to left here in set number 1. And that one is hit long, and a point there for the Tigers. And how important, Coach Fox, is it to get off to a good start here in regional play?
Well, I think that a lot of it, especially with a team that has 5 or 6 players who've never played regionals before, as the second hit sails along there, really just shaking off the nerves. I think playing the 2 seed really helps in that first part, getting the serves in, all that stuff.
Now set up, far side, cross-court hit will fall in there for Widefield, and that is their first point of this set. And back to serve for Widefield is Mallory Hutchinson, a sophomore. Hutchinson will spin the ball, hit it with the right hand into the back row, dug out there by Crawford, set up into the net. Michelson will hit it right on the line for a Tiger kill, and they lead it now 3-1. As, well, the Tigers, they have a very tough task ahead of them. Obviously, they need to take care of business against Widefield, but then they have to play Palmer Ridge, a very talented team, and they're going to need Maya, Sidney, and that front attacking line to be good here today.
Yeah, spent some time looking at, we'll talk more about Palmer Ridge later, but spent some time looking at their schedule, and Lewis Palmer, the 1 seed in the state tournament, Palmer Ridge was one of the only teams to give them any sort of resistance. So I think they have their eyes set for next weekend, so maybe Erie can see if they can catch them off guard a little bit.
Tigers up 4-1 here in the first set. Casillas sets up Michelson. That one is hammered down, and a net violation, I believe, there on Widefield, and a point for the Tigers, and they now lead it 5-1 with Megan Casillas serving.
That's Widefield's 3rd unforced error of the match, and that's something that Erie will gladly take at the moment. As that ball drips down.
Tigers tried to keep it alive as it was ping-ponging back and forth between a few players, and Widefield picks up their 2nd point. And now back to serve is Madison Villers, a junior captain here, the libero. Belts will dig. Casillas backs at far side. Played over by Michelson. Now onto the Widefield side. They'll hit it over 3rd time with Bowen. That's Belts. Up to the net. Michelson will hammer it down into the floor, and the Tigers now lead it 6-2 on the kill by Michelson, and she's got things working early here in this match.
Yep, she's run that. She runs the one. You know, when she can stay behind the ball and get on top, she's hard to stop. She runs the one really well. One's the three. You saw her run the. Well, maybe you saw her. Maybe you heard her run the slide just before that, and that hasn't quite clicked yet. So that's something that they hope to get going in this set.
Now Purcell with an ace on kind of a little side spinning serve that just dropped in there, and she'll pick up the ace. Now this one will be played over. Picked up by Villers, played over third time. Casillas to Amond, and that one will sail long as Amond got underneath it.
It's an interesting serve rotation that Coach Creek has. She puts Autumn right before Maya, and Autumn has gone back to that short serve more frequently, and then you'll see in next rotation Maya will come and she'll serve short more times than not, and then the rest of the 4-6 of the rotations will serve deep there.
Good dig out there after a block at the net, and then Michelson stings a couple hands as that one slides over and drops in for another Michelson kill, and already 8-3 here in set number 1. And you like to see your team come out sharp and focused no matter the opponent, and the Tigers have done that so far. Now served into the back row, played in toward the middle, and then Haley Hahn couldn't quite gather the block. And a point there for Widefield.
Yeah, Haley Hahn's first attempt there, just a hair late. That'll be something that she's going to want to, try to get her block up early in this match. And then definitely with Palm Ridge's best player being their middle, get up early. She's got the athleticism if she can be up in time.
Now Kreitz will dig off the Widefield serve, set near side to Kreitz, and she smacked that one down and in, angled it cross court, perfectly placed for Kreitz, and a 9-4 lead here for Erie in set number 1. Widefield, they're wearing white uniforms with blue shorts. They are the Gladiators. Probably the only time I've heard that here in Colorado high school sports. Now served into the back row, played over third time by Widefield. Belts dig, set up by Amon, near side for Kreitz. She'll angle across court into the middle, and that was miscued, and a point there for Erie. So a 10-4 lead now here in set number 1. Good start for the Tigers. Amon serves it into the back row, picked up by the libero. Hit on the second try, and good job popping that one over was Jasmine McLean, and that gives Widefield their first kill.
She's in the net there, though.
Oh, and yeah, thank you, Mr. Fox,
no
for
problem.
correcting me there. And into the net again is McLean, and Erie picks up another point now, 12-4. Amon serving again, and drops an ace in just in front of the back row player, Maya Sofer, and that'll draw a timeout here from Widefield. Well, while we have a moment, this game brought to you by State Farm. How about having all your insurance needs under one roof? Let State Farm's Jeannie Holst take care of all your insurance needs. Jeannie's been serving the Erie community for almost 15 years. Would like to serve you as well. Give Jeannie a call today at 303-828-4002 or visit online at jeannieholst.com. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Well, Coach, what are you seeing out there?
Well, so Erie serves, it's been interesting. It seems like 10 of their 12 serves have gone to zone 1 here. If you're listening, that's the closest to the Widefield bench. It's also the hardest zone to return a serve from because the pass then comes up over kind of the back left shoulder of the setter. So that's a harder one. Just if everything else equal, if you got the same passers, that's the zone you want to pick on. And they seem to right now with Jess serving to have also a weaker serve receive there. So that's a place I bet they keep going back to.
Amon will serve it into that little pocket. Set up in the middle and a good block that time. Haley Hahn, Sydney Kreitz in there. And the Tigers now have a double-digit lead here in set number 1. Brandon Bird, Russell Fox here with you on the call today as there's another ace for Amon. She went back to the far side, and that was miscued that time. See Amon, the lone sophomore on this varsity team. Serve it again. Played over third time from the far side. Good dig. One arm stab by Kreitz. Now played over by Casillas. Onto the Widefield side. They'll set it up. Far side hit. That's Hutchinson. Dug out by Belts toward the net. Slapped down. Picked up by the Tigers. That's Casillas on the attack. Into the back row. Miscued. Played, though, at the net by Widefield. They get it over a third time, and the hit just sails a little bit long by, that was Jasmine McLean. Pretty good hit, but just overcooked it a little, and the Tigers now lead at 16-4.
I think those are your volleyball gods. That ball might have been in, but they were in the net earlier in the rally, so they seem to work out that way. Get the ball to the right side.
Now a serve into the middle that was played back toward the net, and just rising and slamming it down was Sydney Kreitz.
I think that was Haley Hahn actually in the middle. It's okay, but when you've got the, Haley Hahn may be the best athlete on the team, and an overpass to her is going to be bad news for the other team every single time.
Now into the net, far side. Casillas will play it back over on the first hit. Widefield on the attack. Hutchinson, she'll angle it to the near side off the rafters as it was dug out there by Purcell. Then she hit it over a third time. Now Widefield plays it back onto the Erie side. Set from the net into the middle, punched over by Hahn. Back toward the net. Hahn digs, played over with two hands by Amid, and Widefield will reset back onto the Erie side. Purcell for Amon. Near side, Kreitz unloads. That one is dug out onto the Erie side on the first hit. Now set across court to the near side. Kreitz again, and again dug out. Widefield still on the attack. Now played over third hit. Belts digs into the middle. Hahn hammers and puts it away, and that was about the best rally we've had in this first set, and the Tigers come away with the point.
There you go. There's probably 6 or 7 on-tempo hits in that rally. Get everybody's arms warm.
Amon still serving here for the Tigers. This one floated in toward the back row. Set up far side, tapped over with the left hand, and unable to dig that time was Purcell, as that was nicely placed, and Widefield finally gets Jesse Amon off serve.
What's good to see is that the Tigers putting some good rallies together, streaking some points together while Maya Michelson is off the court.
Now this one played into a touch of the net. And our system kind of shown us that we're a little bit low on broadcast speed. That's okay. We'll keep forging ahead here. The internet here in the gym, not to our liking, so we're hot spotting up. And we're hoping that will still provide you with a viewable and listenable audio stream. 19-8, Erie leads it here in set number 1. Back to serve for the Gladiators is Victoria Bowen, a senior. Belts, Kreitz, and Crawford along the back line. Belts will dig, set up by Amon. Near side for Crawford, and that one served up or hit up a little bit long, and now only a 10-point lead for Erie. Still in firm control, though, of this set. Belts to Amon. In the middle, Hahn hits. That's blocked. Back up toward the net. Hahn hits again. And I think they're going to say that it was a replay of the point there. Is that what they're saying, Coach?
No,
Funk?
I think they said Widefield was in the net. No, you're right. One called the Widefield and one called Erie in the net at the same time, so it's going to be a replay.
A little bit confusing there, but we'll replay it here at 19-9. Erie on top. Crawford with the big right arm swing, and she had it partially blocked, but it dropped in right in that big hole that you were talking about there, Coach Fox.
Yeah, it worked. You can go on tempo and still use the hole.
Now Belts will float a serve in toward the back row. Played far side, popped over by Ricketts, dug out by Kreitz. And that's Michelson in the middle. A little bit of a kind of a off-balance miscue, but still found the empty spot of the floor, and a kill for Michelson and the Tigers, and they lead it 21-9 here in set 1.
A little check of their offensive efficiency. First time through the rotation, the Tigers scored 19 points through their first 6 rotations, and now cruising with an ace with Ronnie Belts. That's more than 3 points a server, and anytime you're clicking at that rate, things are looking good.
22 serving 9 here. Belts peppers one into the back row, and a little bit of a miscue, and Widefield never recovered. And they have had a tough time dealing with some good Erie serves. Belts again. Well, floated in there this time with the right hand. Dug out by Villers, now set up far side. Cross-court hit by Stewart. Erie able to play some good defense there. They get it over a third time. Now set near side, and that goes into the net, and the Tigers have set point here in set number 1.
Just like that, too. I think between Jess and Belts here, two big servers have pushed most of the Tigers' points.
Now Belts will crank one long, and Widefield will prolong the set for at least another point.
Hit double digits there.
Is that always kind of a point of pride for a defense, trying to hold a team under double digits?
Yeah, especially in regionals.
Now Mallory Hutchinson to serve for Widefield, and that will go long, and Erie will take set number 1, 1-0. We And welcome back in, Erie Tiger Network. Brandon Bird and Coach Russell Fox with us here on our broadcast here in Monument, or more technically even Woodmore, Colorado here. The Tri-Lakes area just north of Colorado Springs. Saw a lot of people donning Army shirts as Air Force playing Army about 10 minutes from where we are. That'll, I think, kick off around 1:30. That's always a fun spectacle. This community, very heavy military based with the Air Force Academy. You have a few Air Force bases around here, and this is where I grew up, so right in the Monument area, so good to kind of be back home. Never been in Palmer Ridge High School, newer high school, pretty nice facility here, and they've been very accommodating so far as well. But Erie leads it here 1-0. And they've looked good doing it, haven't they?
They have. They've, first set where Erie looked good and Widefield looked a little air prone. And so that's something that you can't do much on your side when you're Erie. You can't do much with their airs. I've talked before, when I was coaching that, a lot of volleyball is getting your points, and the other half of volleyball is giving tough enough balls that the other side's going to make errors or have trouble with the tough balls. It's kind of like this, rolling momentum thing. If you can give consecutive challenging balls over and over, and I think we saw that in one rally, that nice long rally in the last set, where Widefield stepped up, played some good defense, but each time they gave a little easier ball back, and each time Erie gave a little harder ball back, and eventually someone was able to, put it on the floor.
So our lineups are out there. It'll be Casillas, Michelson, and Ahmed, as well as Crawford, Kreitz, and Belts for the Tigers. And serving it here is Widefield to start set number 2, and that was miscued a little bit by Belts. And Widefield has their first lead at any point in either set.
It's an interesting decision here for Coach Creek, whether she wants to go out with the same lineup. Anytime you really get on a team, might be a time to mix things up. But here at regionals, I would suspect she's going the same lineup just to make sure everything is smoothed out.
Now Belts will play it up toward the net. Crawford, a big hit, dug out right down the far side line. Out in the middle, Michelson a little off tempo. Played over by Widefield. They're playing a little more energetically here defensively as that one ping-pongs around. They get over third time again. Far side set.
Megan and Michelson's connection has not been great. The sets have either been too high or too low. Maybe one that's really been connected. So we'll see as they try to work that kink out.
Now this one angled cross court. Dug out in the corner on the near side. Played over third time by Widefield. Casillas sets up for Michelson, who ripped one into the hardwood, and the Tigers lead it 3-1.
That looked much better. I mean, that's what you can do when you get something with the middle, especially when you have your best play in the middle, which is true for Erie, true for Palmer Ridge. It's a little bit of a hit or miss because you have to run your defense to get a good pass as Widefield sails one long there.
4-1 now here for Erie, making Casillas on serve, and she'll serve it quickly into the back row. Widefield trying to gather, and that one into the net. And another point here for the Tigers. They now lead it 5-1 here in set number 2. Now played onto the far side. Blocked initially, then dug out by Kreitz into the middle. A tough closure.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I think, probably arguably the best, most talented Erie volleyball player to ever play for the school. I was talking to Coach Shinaka about that as Widefield gets one back here. It's hard to evaluate, such a specialty position like a middle versus a more rounded position like an outside or a setter, but she's an incredible talent, no doubt about that.
Now Belts will dig off the Widefield serve, set up for Michelson, and that one is too hot to handle. A lot of steam behind that hit out of the middle. And Coach, I know you played Maya out of the middle. Why out of the middle as opposed to the outsides?
Well, I think
back here they lead it 10-3. As that one is stung by Kreitz and then mishandled by the Gladiators, and it's now 11-3.
You'll see that a really equally talented middle and outside, it's much easier to stop a to stop an outside because they essentially hit from the same spot on the net. And different coaches have different numbers for those spots, but you can practice blocking the same spot over and over, whereas a really talented middle, you can't really practice all of the blocks that a talented middle can hit at you from.
Now 11 or 4 serving 11 here. Set up for Kreitz, and she'll just pop it over with the left hand. That ball was floating toward the net, and Sydney gets up there.
And then Jess flying in at the last minute to set it, and that pushed the ball behind Kreitz a little bit, which resulted in the long hit.
(12-7) now as Widefield a few points in a row here. Coach Creek on her feet trying to give out directions. This serve goes towards Skylar Small, who's checked in here for the Tigers. Back set to the near side. Kreitz will pop it over with the right hand. Now back set for Widefield. They'll angle it to the near court. Good dig there by Amon toward the net. Now Kreitz leaning back will play it over third time. That one is dug out onto the Tigers side. Now Casilla sets up for Hahn out of the middle. She leaned back, hit it into the back row. Widefield on the attack and just mistimed. And a whiff there from Aaliyah Stewart, and the Tigers will pick up the point. And now Sydney Kreitz back to serve. 13 serving 7 here for the Tigers in set number 2. They lead it 1-0. Back set to the far side, and that one is blocked at the net. Actually hit the net. I don't think an Erie hand ever touched it. And now 14-7 Erie. Kreitz serves again, angles it to the near side. Dug out to the far side and then hit over third time toward Kreitz, who digs into the middle. Set up for Hahn, unloads and stung a good one in toward the back row, and too hot to handle that time for the Gladiators, and the Tigers pick up another point. They lead it 15-7 here in set 2. Kreitz will serve it again in toward the back row. Onto the Tiger side now. Amon sets up far side for Crawford, who got a nicely timed jump and slammed it into the hardwood, and a timeout here from Widefield.
Yeah, she did a really great job that time, staying plenty behind the ball. A set that was past the 10-foot line, so the set's coming from the 10-foot line, and when you're setting from the 10-foot line and not close to the net, the contact point is always about 3 or 4 feet farther back than you'd expect. So that takes it's a hard thing, I think, for a lot of young players to get, is to be far enough out to make that adjustment and to really understand that they're hitting the ball 6 or sometimes 7 feet away from the net. And part of the challenge is when you're young and these girls all been playing for a while, and you start playing 6th, 7th grade, you have to be right at the net to have any prayer of hitting it over. So that's what kids practice over and over again, is hitting 1 foot away from the net, when, as you see, the best hitters now are starting to hit 4, 5, 6 feet off the net. And then when you watch a big transition into college, the players hit even further off the net, and they set farther off the net, largely because you're trying to avoid the big blocks. And the farther away you are from the net, if you can still hit the ball down, the less likely that big block is to be there to get you.
So timeout there for Widefield. Out of the timeout, it's Kreitz serving. She'll Play into the middle. Now set up near side. That one is blocked at the net that time. I think that was either Casillas or Hahn that got the hand on it. And now a double-digit lead here for the Tigers. Kreitz again with the serve. That one hits the tape. A diving dig back onto the Tigers side. Hahn will play it into the back row. Now Widefield on the attack. Good dig there by Kreitz. Set up by Ahmed. Far side. And just kind of overcooked the set a little bit. And Crawford had to come too far toward the net and hit it into the net. Now it's Mallory Hutchinson to serve for Widefield. 8 serving 17. Hutchinson smacks it with the right hand. Dug there by Kreitz. Far side set. Crawford with a good hit, but a nice dig by Hutchinson. Now Tigers try and reset, and again that's blocked at the net. And good block that time.
Yeah, you can see there's an example of a set that's super tight to the net, and even a team that's probably not the best blocking team the Tigers have played this year doesn't have much trouble when it's 2 or 3 inches off the net.
It was Jasmine McLean on the block. Belts digs off the serve. Tigers will play it over third time into the back row. Now near side set and miss hit on the near side. That was Maddie Hager, and Tigers back up to an 18-9 lead.
What you don't see when you're watching these games as Haley Hahn goes back to serve is what they're working on in practice is totally different between the middles and the outsides. Middles are working on timing. They're hitting the same distance away from the net most times. Outsides, not so much working on timing. The timing's always the same, yet Erie's going to get bailed out here with Widefield being the net, even though they got a kill. Timing's almost always the same. The net location and the depth away from the net's the big difference there.
19 serving 9 with Hahn. Hager will dig. Hutchinson from the back row will play it to the libero Villers, who plays over third time. Tigers set up Michelson, and she just slams it home, and the Tigers lead it 20-9.
Doesn't get old to watch, does it?
Does not get old to watch. Now Hahn again into the back row. Villers digs. Back set far side. Now Hahn will dig out of the back row. Back set to the near side. Casillas angles it cross court. Diving dig by Widefield into the stands. And Widefield not able to run up the stairs fast enough to play it. And Tigers now lead it 21-9. Hahn again on the serve. Cooks it into the back row. Set into the middle, and a quick hitter goes along. And another Tiger point. They lead it 22-9 here in set number 2.
It is interesting to watch Haley Hahn push points here. This statistically is their second worst serving rotation. There's good reason for that. Having 2 middles on the court, no libero, defensively kind of limits you. But they're pushing points here, so they'll take it.
Floater serve. Good dig there on the dive by Eamon. Played back onto the Widefield side. Hager into the back row. Hahn digs toward the net, and then just rising up and popping it down was McLean. And they cut the lead to 12. Villers back to serve for the Gladiators. The right arm swing into the back row. Ahmed sets far side. Crawford. That one is dug out by Hutchinson, and then Widefield will cozy it on over a third time, and they will call a double hit on Villers, and the Tigers now lead it 23-10.
You can see there, Crawford Tubby had a good shot there of getting a kill. That the middle's stuck with Maya. That's something you'll see. Kind of afraid of the Maya, almost like in football, where you spy on one player and go to the other, and they have a big advantage and a big hole.
And Crawford just kind of punched it over as the set was toward the net and found the empty spot. And the Tigers have set point 24-10 with Megan Casillas serving. She'll swing it in with the right hand. Dug out of the back row by McLean. Villers will play it over third hit. Belts digs. Set by Casillas in toward the net. And that was blocked after it was punched over by Michelson. And then Crawford tried to get it back over, and that fell wide for a Widefield point. Now McLean to serve for the Gladiators in the back row. Crawford digs, set up by Casillas near side. Maya Michelson puts the exclamation point on the set, and the Tigers take set number 2, 25-11. They took set number 1, 25-10. They lead 2-0. We're going to take a quick break here on the Erie Tiger Network. Check. Check. Okay.
I think that's it.
Yeah.
Should I have her ask him?
Yeah. We reset the stream, so it might have gone down. I know some of you are listening to our audio. We had some audio issues on our NFHS stream. We have corrected that and restarted the stream. Or at least that's what we are attempting to do. Now we'll go on air. Yeah.
All right, beginning of set 3 here. Ronnie Belt serves a float serve over, passed up by Widefield and kind of tapped over to the middle. A pass by Belt, set to Michelson, who set a little low, pounds it dug by the libero. Back row attack from Widefield coming, and a back row dig by Belt, who overpassed, but a good dig by Michelson, but a block back over makes 1-0 lead here for Widefield. So Widefield will be back to serve their libero. As Erie had their way the first 2 sets and hoping for a quick set here, not to be too tired for their upcoming big match. Pass by Belt in the back row, set by Amend too far out across the antenna, and Sophie didn't have much chance other than hitting the ball into the antenna. So a 2-0 lead right away for Widefield.
All right, we think we fixed our audio issue on the video portion of our stream on the NFHS network, so we apologize for that. We think it was picking up our camera audio, so we had to kind of re-jolt the stream here real quick. Now Villers to serve, and it's a 3-0 lead here for Widefield in set 3. Toward the net, Eamon goes all the way across court and set up nicely that time for Sophie Crawford, who put it home.
They just need you to call the plays again, then they could start playing for you, Brandon. Interesting, Hannah Kurt, checks in and playing right side for the Tigers.
Casillas into the back row. Villers dig, set up near side for McLean, and that one is peppered in there just inside the line. And so Widefield, a 3-point lead. That is their biggest of any point in this match.
That ball actually may have sailed long, but the up ref said she saw a touch. Coach Creek not so happy with that call. And the volleyball gods gave it right back. So no touch on the previous point. Tigers get the point there with the missed serve in the net.
4-2. Erie trails it here. 2 serving 4 as Autumn Purcell checks in to serve, and the senior will float one in toward the back row. Diving dig back onto the Tiger side on one hit. Backs at far side. Michelson nails one, and a net violation on Widefield and an Erie point.
It's always an interesting one to do. What do you do with a stat book over there if you're Coach Creek? Do you give that one as an error on Widefield? That probably would have been a kill. Or do you reward your big hitter with a point?
Now an ace there for Purcell. 4-4, so Erie quickly erases the deficit. Now Purcell angles it toward the far side. Played up toward the rafters. Hit backward over her head was Ricketts. Now set up for Michelson, and Michelson just rifled one down into the hardwood. And
as you did that off the slide, it's an interesting approach. A slide approach different than a regular approach where you're jumping off 2 feet. Slide is much more like a basketball layup where you're right-handed athletes jumping off their left foot. For some players, that comes really naturally, and they can get a little more power on it, even if there's a little less height. And then Maya followed that up with a nice block there. 6'4" Tigers.
And Michelson been a dominant force here in this matchup against the Gladiators. Now Purcell to serve. This one will float in toward Villers. Played by Bowen, far side, dug out by Casillas. Now Belt sets up near side for Kreitz, big swing. One arm stabbing dig. Diving for that was Hutchinson, and then Widefield just finds some empty room there in the Tiger defense.
That is the worst thing as a coach, to watch a free ball kill, and I wish our camera could show you Coach Creek. She is not pleased with any sort of free ball kill from the other team.
Now Sofer to serve. Kreitz will dig right toward the net. Set up quickly, and Kurz will slam it home with the right hand. And the Tigers take a 2-point lead. We will have the next match that Erie plays on a new stream on both YouTube and NFHS. Take a quick little break in between and get started maybe a minute or two before the actual match gets started, as that hit goes into the net by Aaliyah Ricketts. And another point for the Tigers, and now they have a 3-point lead here in set number 3. Floater by Michelson. In toward the back row now. Hammered into the net by Ricketts, and Tigers picking up some freebie points.
It's interesting, Brandon. I've been looking around the gym the whole time, and I know the Palmer Ridge coaches are in here. However, I haven't seen the Palmer Ridge players at all in the gym, and that's something that it's always a decision for the coaches to watch. You know, do you want your players to watch the game before? I always like to try to get a read on the other team.
That one is slammed home by Haley Hahn out of the middle.
After that 4-0 start, Tigers have gone on a 10-1 run here. And it sounds like we've got the audio working on the stream from our inside sources here in the gym, so thank you.
Michelson served it, and that one was blocked at the net. I think Kurz was in there on the block. And so an 11-5 lead now for Erie. Michelson to serve again. This one knuckles in toward the back row, close to the net, and then played over, and Purcell tried to slide down, and she just nicked it behind herself and out of bounds, and Gladiator point.
It was an interesting decision Coach Creek has every time she puts Hannah in on the right side. You know, it's a luxury to have a 5'11", maybe 6-foot-tall player to come in, bigger block, bigger swings, but it's also a little downgrade in the hands and ball out ability. So far paying off here for the Tigers. I know it's something she's gone back and forth with. As Widefield's able to deal with an overpass by the Tigers and got the lead to 7-11.
7 serving 11 here for Widefield. Into the back row, Purcell diving dig toward Casillas. Sets up near side for Sydney Kreitz, and she tattooed that ball in there for the Tigers. And that's also fun to see, Coach Fox. Sydney, when she rips one, she can blaze them with the best of them.
Yep, it'll be interesting to watch next year when the vast majority of this team comes back. I think we'll see a lot more. Not that we don't see a lot of Sydney Kreitz already, but an even bigger share of the sets go her way.
Now angling that one down the net was Casillas. Widefield will sizzle that one long, and another Tiger point. And they are close to doubling up Widefield here again, 13 serving 7. And, well, it feels like Erie firmly in control, and that will set us up for a big matchup with Palmer Ridge, where the winner will go to state at the Denver Coliseum next weekend.
You know, advocates of the RPI will point to a match like this. Familiar, the RPI has its fair share of detractors and fans, but seems to be working here with Widefield having a better record than Erie, but the strength of opponents have kind of, you can tell that some of those wins may have come off of easier teams, as barring some sort of collapse here towards the end, Erie definitely looks like the stronger team despite the record.
Couple quick points for Widefield off Erie errors. Now Bowen serves again. Belts into the middle. Aim in. Will set up for.
It's a quick middle attack by Kreitz in the middle.
Will set up again for Kreitz, this time on the wide side, and that was partially blocked but fell in there. We are sitting kind of on the mezzanine level in this gym, and there is like a graded railing in front of us. So every once in a while I kind of lose sight as to who had the attack there. Onto the Erie side. Set up near side for Crawford. She'll angle it to the far side corner. Now Widefield on the attack. That one's blocked. Back onto the Widefield side. Near side attack by Stewart, and that one floats long, and an Erie point, and they lead 15-9.
You know, one of the adjustments that Erie will have to make as Kreitz chases that ball in the corner of the gym is when Palmer Ridge does not give them so many errors at the beginning of next game. How do they adjust to not having the easier buffer and kind of staying mentally tough despite the lack of kind of easier or free points? So in your experience watching this team this year, Brandon, what, if you had to, a last point serve, who would be the server you pick going back in a pressure situation?
As Widefield picks up a point there, I just like the consistency of Sydney Kreitz. Seems like her serves are always in, always have a decent amount of pace. She can do a lot of different things with the serve. I think mostly I rarely see Sydney make an error, and that's always what kind of bothers me in a big situation.
Right.
Who doesn't make the error? And I feel like Sydney's pretty even-keeled in that regard.
There you go. For those of you who listen, it's 11-16 Widefield. Widefield's pushed about 3 points here.
Now Kreitz will dig out of the back row, set up near side. Crawford angles it, dug out by Villers. Now set up to the far side, and that was partially blocked, or it hit the net and then fell onto the Tigers' side for Gladiator points. So they've narrowed the gap down to 4 here with Hutchinson back to serve. Fairly young team here for Widefield, at least in terms of some of the key players we've been seeing here today. And they have a few seniors that haven't really played much, as Hahn nailed one down in toward the back row and sent it home for the kill. 5-point lead again for Erie.
Well, for what it's worth, I think that I would share your sentiment about, 24-23 game, you're trying to push a point. I'd have Kreitz. Ronnie might have the best single serve on the team, but you're right. I think that consistency piece is a big component.
Good serve there by Belts. Played over third hit. Now Kreitz will pass it toward the near side, and then just kind of miscued that time by Crawford as it sailed wide.
That's a hard one. When that ball's coming from behind your head, it takes a lot of body control to kind of gather your body behind it and roll shot it down in.
Villers the jump serve into the back row. Belts dig, set up by Eamon for Michelson, up high, down hard. And Maya Michelson hammered one home.
And I want to point out how great of a set that was by Eamon. That was a pass that was coming hot and probably going to be an overpass. She jumped up and in the air, kind of legs sprawled outwards, was able to set that perfect set.
Widefield on the attack, blocked initially by Crawford and then hit right back to McLean, who sent it into the vacated area by Erie. 4-point lead, 14 serving 18 here for Widefield, but Erie still kind of feels in control here. McLean in toward the back row, and Crawford can't handle the serve by McLean, and now only a 3-point lead for Erie.
Yeah, you wonder if you're getting down to Widefield's feeling like last couple points of their season and kicking it up a notch maybe.
McLean with the right hand. Zips one to the back row. Good job that time by Crawford, and it's blocked at the net. Michelson on the redirect, plays it over onto the Widefield side. Angled down the net. Good dig there by Crawford. Back set to Kurz, and Widefield playing some solid defense here. They pick up another point.
Yep, and you see that just a little bit increase in defense. The challenge, level of difficulty of the balls are giving Erie just raising a little bit, and it's making a difference, although Widefield pushes one into the net there.
Man, you're riding a heater, and there's a serve into the net. That's a backbreaker for Widefield, and Erie back to a 3-point lead, and Autumn Purcell into serve here for the Tigers. And Purcell smacks it with the right hand down the line, and Widefield will gather it toward the stands onto the Tiger side. Now Maya Michelson ripped one down and in, and another Tiger point. They lead it 20-16.
As you see, the last 3 attacks from Maya have come from 3 different places, and that one there was no blocker even close, and that's just not fair for the defense.
Now Purcell floats one in toward the back row. Set up into the middle, hit by McLean, dug out. That one's bouncing around on the basketball hoop, gives the Tigers time to run underneath it, but Belts tried to hit it back over her head and just over cranked it a little bit, and back to a 3-point Widefield deficit.
That's a frustrating one for everyone watching because it looks so easy to be up on the backboard. You got time to gather yourself under, but I think players under it stress out and almost make a panic play.
And an ace there for Widefield, and only a 2-point lead now for Erie. Erie definitely wants to finish up this set, or this match here in this set. Sofer to serve toward Belts, digs towards Michelson, sets up near side for Kreitz, and the right arm swing is blocked but falls in for a Erie kill.
It's the second time that's hit off the block and fell right into that wide open zone. Kind of behind the blockers in front of a very deep defense.
3-point lead here for Erie. Floated into the back row. Set up in the middle. Little punch over by Ricketts and dropped it right in front of Michelson on a little off-tempo hit. 2-point lead again here for Erie, and back to serve is Curry Carmody. A senior. First time we've called her name tonight for Widefield. The lefty will float it in towards Belts, set up by Casillas, hit by Hahn and blocked at the net, and Widefield has squeezed it to 1. Watching Coach Creek, she wants her players to sort through it right here, no timeout. Comedy, a floater in toward Belts, Casillas sets up in the middle, and Hahn flushed it home.
It's a big point there to kind of get it. You only 3 points now. Something about 22 feels a lot safer and a lot better than that 21.
Now Amond will serve it up in toward the back row, toward the net, and Hahn just leaning back over her head, swiped it in with the right hand, tucked it inside that near line, and a 3-point lead for Erie, 2 points away here from dusting this one off. Amond zips it in toward Viller, set up far side Hutchinson. That one's blocked by Hahn onto the Erie side. Kreitz dig, set up by Amon for Kreitz. Big right arm swing and blocked at the net that time by Bowen. And back to a 2-point Erie lead, as Widefield has hung tough here in set number 3. Now Bowen to serve. In toward Purcell. Backwards set. Kreitz, her attempt is blocked. Now McLean will play it over. Good dig by Purcell. Set up into the middle. Hahn will play it over. Now Widefield on the attack to Purcell. Back onto the Tigers side. Down the line goes Kreitz. Widefield with the dig. Villers sets toward the net. And Tigers can't corral it. And back to a 1-point lead for Erie.
Yeah, it seems like some nerves have set in maybe a little bit for the Tigers, or a lack of last-minute confidence.
Belts in towards Amond, and Hahn hammered it, but dug out nicely by Villers. Tigers with it now. Set up for Kreitz. Big swing with the right hand, and Widefield able to get it back over. Near side for Kreitz again, and she mishits, and we are tied at 23 here in set 3.
Well, I'll tell you this, as Coach Creek takes a timeout, this is one of those moments where you want to put the ball in the player you think can put the ball on the court, and obviously when Maya's not on the court, that's been Kreitz. But unfortunately, in the past 4 attempts for Kreitz, she's been blocked 3 of the 4 times. Not a stuff block, but a block enough that the defense can pick it up, and then the 4th time a mishit by her. And so that kind of go to put the ball on the floor hasn't been there for the Tigers when they've needed it here in this set 3.
Hey, Tiger fans, we have just the smile you're looking for. Dr. Damon Careway and his team of professionals work together to provide you with the highest standard of orthodontic care tailored to meet your individual needs and desires. We offer a full range of orthodontic services for patients of all ages, including children, teens, and adults. For more information, head to carewayortho.com. 23-23. Widefield trying to extend this out another set here. And we have at times this season seen Erie in these situations drop a set and then win in 4 sets when it feels like a match that they should have swept. And here come the Tigers. Purcell sets it up. Kreitz, a hard hit, picked up by Widefield. And a miss hit, a double hit. Now Erie with match point. And it's Sydney Kreitz.
Well, here you go. So what we were talking about, wasn't it?
Sydney Kreitz puts it in where she's supposed to, and played over by Villers. Now Casillas sets up in the middle, and it's finished off by Haley Hahn, who slammed it home. And the Tigers win it here 3 sets to none. They take it 25-10, 25-11, 25-23. That's going to do it for us here in this first match. We will have Erie versus Palmer Ridge. The winner goes to state. So join us in about 15 minutes or 30 minutes here on the Erie Tiger Network.